Hello. So you need to stop being so hard on yourself. And the funny thing about doing this right now is that I'm kind of looking at myself on the screen and I feel like I'm talking to myself. And actually, it's probably a very timely intervention of myself on myself. Promise I'll try and stop rambling soon. Too much blood in my caffeine stream. Um, so again, we're still kind of coming up with things on the basis of a lot of training and things that I've been doing and things that I've been noticing about myself from a kind of mindset point of view. And this part of the training that I'm in, where you're kind of working live cases and you're getting a lot of feedback on what you're doing. And that's that's really the kind of key part of this process. So you're taking all of the knowledge that you already had, you've taken the additional knowledge that you were given during the training process, um, and sort of practical skills that you've learned in like a sort of safer environment, and you're trying to employ them now in the real world, which experience tells me is always very different, and it definitely has been. Um, and everyone always says, speak to people around the business sometimes, and they will be like, if I haven't spoken to them before, they'll be like, oh, stage 4 of training, how's it going? Oh, it's tough, isn't it? And everyone that's uh, in these positions has been through the process before, so they all know what's involved. Um, and everyone knows that it's tough, but it's obviously, it's tough for a reason, and it's definitely doable because so many people have done it before. But what another realization I'd had this week was that it's like I don't think I quite realized how hard I can be on myself. And there's a little bit of me that thinks that's not true, that I probably did know that before. Um, but there's that kind of there's that kind of gap between uh, emotional reasoning and intellectual reasoning. So the emotional stuff will kick in so much sooner than the intellectual stuff does. So, for example, if I've been in the earlier stages getting like some feedback, kind of saying, some glaring omissions from this, or just not clear enough from this point of view, and I'm kind of going, I'm really disappointed in myself. um, and then kind of surfing that kind of wave of emotion for a bit before eventually I can sort of intellectually rationalize it a bit and kind of put things into context and go, right, okay, well, Andy, you've only been doing this job for, not even a couple of months yet. Most of that has been sort of induction and training in terms of actually doing live cases. You don't really have very much experience of doing this, so you're being far too hard on yourself. Um, but yeah, that has been a realization this week, is that I am being far too hard against myself. And actually, it comes to, I was listening to Mark Manson's book, audio book, as I've been commuting, because obviously I've been doing a lot of commuting at the moment. And that's one of the things he talks about in it is, when you're feeling like that a lot, where you're feeling like, you're feeling kind of disappointed in your performance or whatever, you've got to think about how you're measuring yourself. So, what standard are you measuring yourself against? And I appear to be measuring myself against the standard that I should be someone that can just walk into this and do it no problem. And you know, hand on heart, can I say that there's been many things in my life that I've been able to just walk in and do straight away. And I remember when I started playing rugby when I was younger, I was pretty rubbish at rugby when I first started. I was a pretty half decent player when, by the time I stopped. But it took me years to sort of figure the game out and get comfortable with the various positions that I would be playing, and to kind of get my physical fitness and skills up to a certain level. It took a really long time. But I remember that not being a nice feeling either, wanting to be really good at rugby but not being good at rugby. And then there's a whole load of other like mental baggage that comes along with these things, like you worry what other people think about you, and I've been doing exactly the same just now. Or these people in the other people I work with must think I'm utterly rubbish. And actually, if you speak to them about it, they'll be like, no, you're exactly where everyone is at this stage. You're doing fine. Keep it up. You're doing all the things that we need you to do. Um, So yeah, so have a think about. So if you do feel like that, like you're being too hard on yourself, you do need to stop. But it's not as easy as just stopping. You need to have a think about why you're doing that in the first place. So think about what standard you're measuring yourself against, and then actually get a more realistic view of where you are. And that might be actually just speaking to the people that you work with, speaking to your line management and just saying, look, I'm having a bit of a kind of crisis of confidence at the moment, and I just need to benchmark myself. Where am I versus where I need to be, and once you can actually accurately measure yourself, because I know the instant I had, not kind of like saying I don't need constant reassurance or anything, but just with the way I'm feeling about this, I just need to know that am I really struggling here? Am I really far behind the curve, or actually am I exactly where you would expect me to be? And they were very firm on saying you're exactly where we expect you to be, and that instantly made me feel much better. I mean, obviously, I want to just walk into it and do it amazingly well, and I think most people are the same when it comes to most things. But actually, do you know what? I am willing to put the work in, and I always have been, right from the start. And I think as long as you approach things from that attitude, you're not going to walk into it and go, well, I'm not naturally amazing at this, therefore I'm just going to stop and walk away. Then, there's probably a good reason why that's happened, and, it's something to do with your values, and that's probably a chat for another day. But yeah, that's my lesson is stop being so hard on yourself. But if you want to actually do that effectively, you need to be looking at why you're being so hard on yourself. So, what standard are you measuring yourself against? Is it realistic and rational? And then you need to go out there and get a more realistic benchmark for where you're at. And then if it might be that you are a little bit behind where you need to be, and that's okay too. So then you can use that kind of honest conversation to kind of go, okay, well, I'm a bit behind. What can I be doing? What can I be working on? And then we're getting into things like what can you be doing consistently to kind of gradually elevate that level of skill or knowledge or practice over time. So yeah, I'm going to try and stop being too hard on myself. um, you need to start doing it too, or stop doing it too, depending on what way you look at it. Okay, let me know what you think. Catch you later.